Greetings and welcome to Bubble Hearthing. I'm Bubble and you're fantastic. Today we're going to be going over all of the Witherbloom #Golgari cards in the Strixhaven School of Mages set for Magic the Gathering coming out on April 15th. So let's get right into it, shall we? And I even have a prop for this. Look at this. I got... it's going to green screen out, but it's a plant. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that there and see how long it lasts. Well, that's about that long. Okay. It is a waxed amaryllis, if anyone's curious, which is basically, imagine a plant that you put somewhere, and that's it. It's very nice. Like, it's not like, I really like the look of it there. You know, it's just really, really beautiful plant, which requires 0 attention, which is great. Imagine a cactus that isn't a cactus. Okay. Without further ado, let's see what kind of Golgari-ish, like, they didn't even try to stretch it a little bit and be like, at least with Quandrix, okay. It's not just mutation and evolution, it's like mathematical kind of sequencing and balance and synergy, not synergy, symmetry. Witherbloom is just Golgari. It is Golgari. Why aren't you calling it Golgari? Because I want Ravnica to fight with this plan. I said it before, I want to say it again. Ravnica, you need to fight these guys. Okay. Ravnica v Strixhaven. First card is the Elder Dragon, because his name starts with a B. And there are no A's in Witherbloom, only B's, okay? They're tough. They're really critical out there. No one gets an A. So, 7 mana 4/4 for the Elder Dragon. It's a flyer. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token with when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Each house in Strixhaven has its own tokens that it likes to spawn. And for Witherbloom, it makes these little pest tokens. Little 1/1s. When it dies, you gain life. Okay, cool. Not bad. I think they use them in pretty interesting ways. And it happens during each upkeep, not just yours. So you play it, and you pass the turn, maybe, you get a little 1/1. Okay, it comes back to your turn, you get a 1/1. You know what I mean. And the big ability, which is big for a couple of reasons, literally 2. Pay 10 life. Big cost. Untap all lands you control, activate only once each turn. Big effect. In my head, I see this, sure, 7 mana is a lot, who knows how much life you're going to be at when, you know, you actually have the ability to play this card. But, odds are, since Sultai is really strong right now, you'll be fine. And, this is basically a free 4/4. Like, 4/4 flyer. Would you play a card that says, you know, 4/4 flying, do all that, pay 10 life? Just pay 10 life to play this card and ignore the casting cost. I know they're like, well, I'm just going to play turn 1 then. Okay, whatever, you know, little details and stuff. In my head, this doesn't actually cost 7. This just gives you back 7 mana when you play it. And you can do that on and on and on. Sure, you're not going to gain a whole lot of life off these little pest tokens. There are other ways to gain life. It's not always the best idea. You can try to run this in like Abzan, splashing white for life gain. Now we're getting a little complicated. But even if you just activate that one time and get essentially a free 4/4 that makes pest tokens, I think that's worth it. Limited, absolutely, like, yeah, it's very, very strong and limited. Not exactly as good as, like, Yavi Maya, is it? Or the Saproling spawning thing, because that eventually gives you the city's blessing, and then it makes everything stronger. I think it's Tenderfoot Dryad is that one. But still a good card. It's just kind of expensive. And in Standard, I think this card's fantastic. I think this card's going to see play. It might even just slot right into the Sultai decks. Sure, it's not monocolored. I don't care. If I can get a free 4/4 flyer, I'm going to get a free 4/4 flyer. Go ahead. Tell me how I'm wrong down below. I'm already mentioning the comments. I saved that for the end of the video. What am I doing? I'm tired. Black's Vexing Pest. 3 mana for a 3/2. Legendary creature, worth noting. And it's also double-sided. So, cool. Other pests, bats, insects, snakes, and spiders you control. That's a hell of a grouping of things. There's a hell of a selection there. Get +1/+1, so it is a Lord of the Pests. When Black's Vexing Pest, when Black's Vexing Pest. Say that 5 times fast. 3 might be too easy, so I'm going with 5. When it dies, you gain 4 life. 3 mana, 3/2 that buffs other things and gains 4 when it dies. There's nothing wrong with that card. Just honestly, that is fine. That is perfectly fine. That is actually really good. I don't know how you really build around this if you're going to try, like, there's not that many bats or insects or snakes and stuff, like, you know. It's really just pests. And I love spiders, don't get me wrong, but there's not that many spiders in the sets either. There's a couple. But I don't think you're going to get much out of that Lord effect other than buffing your little 1/1s from, like, this card and other cards that are from Witherbloom. So It's alright, but still, like, just with the gain 4 life, it's cool. 3 mana, 3/2, gain 4 life when it dies is not bad. Let's see what the other side does. Is the search for Blex. So you don't always get Blex. Sometimes you gotta look for Blex. Do you always find Blex? No. But you know, that's how the Blex is. That's how the Blex vexes. Oh my god. 4 mana sorcery. Look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put any number of them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. You'd lose 3 life for each card you put into your hand this way. So if you play this early enough, or you're reckless enough, or whatever, if you are enough for this card, you pay 4, you draw 5. That's largely unheard of. That's extremely strong. You take 15 damage, whatever, you draw 5. But even in the other case where you don't, you get to look at 5, pick a few, you know, take 3, take 6, okay, I can get around that. And the fact that the other cards go into the graveyard instead of being shuffled back into your library is very, very relevant. You can make a deck that actually, you know, benefits off that. There are plenty of ways you can do that. I mean, Unleash just comes to mind immediately. If you're running this in like black and red, black's cost green. You don't have to play green though, whatever. You can run this in black and red. You can run Croxa, which would work very well. Of course, you can also run Ox of Agonis. Not the best option, but you can. I mean, it's actually not bad. It's just usually a sideboard card against rogues. There's other things you can do that I'm not thinking of, and in other formats the list only gets bigger. So this card's fantastic. I think this card is definitely going to see some play. In limited, be careful, because your life matters a little more than in standard, where you can reliably, you know, get some of that life back or make the most out of those cards. So honestly, with the combination here, 5 out of 5. I'm just gonna go ahead. It's a 5 out of 5 card. It's fantastic. I love these two, 1, 2, whatever you want to call it. This card is going places. Blood Researcher. 3 mana, 2/2 menace. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Blood Researcher. Okay, I mean, it is a Johnny's Pride mate, but in Witherbloom colors instead of in white. So that's something to note. It's okay. And as Menace, there's already an arena only card that is a Johnny's Pride mate, but it costs 3. And that still, like, anyone that's playing against a Johnny's Pride mate or with it knows that as long as the deck is built to gain life, it has like enough ways to gain life there, it gets out of control very, very quickly. So this is not something that you can necessarily ignore. If you were playing, you know, in limited, maybe you can ignore it if they don't have any pests out there, but if they do, oh my god, it's gonna be a nightmare. In standard though, this is too slow. But Johnny's Pride may cost 2 and doesn't really see that much play or whatever. I don't even know if it's in standard anymore, so that might be why. But you don't really see that effect too much. So having to pay 3 for the same effect, but it has Menace, whatever. It's not that good. Callous Blood Mage, 3 mana, 2/1 vampire. Hey, look at that. When it enters the battlefield, choose 1. You either make a pest with, you know, dying, gain a life thing, or you draw a card and you lose 1 life, or you exile target player's graveyard. That last one's like, hello, how do you do? That last one's like a... Okay, so I'm sure they're gonna watch this. I just received a text from someone, from my lovely partner, who is at work right now, and they just said, a burrito is a sleeping bag for ground beef. And I just had to share that with you, because they felt they need to share that with me. I don't know if this was like a shower thought that they had, or if they heard this somewhere else, or just, I believe they are capable of producing this thought on their own. That their mind is tuned to this sort of, this thing. But wow. I mean, mine is too, don't get me wrong. Like, burritos are good. Okay. Just had to share that. Thank you. Little spur of the moment thing there. Don't worry, I'm sure this video is going to be highly edited, and my lovely paid editors are going to do everything they can to enhance this moment. Okay, so I don't know why there's a Torbon's Crypt effect at the bottom there, but it's there. 3 mana 2/1 has to have a really good upside. 3 mana 2/1 make a pest, not that great, because a 2/1 is a lot weaker than like a 2/2 and a 1/1. No. Drawing a card and losing a life, no. So overall, the only reason this card is rare because that last ability, because in other formats and stuff, the graveyard is very, very important. You can actually use it on yourself if you're playing against rogues, so that they can't really drown in the lock as easily. And it could also help with preventing Into the Story from, like, you know, working, because that freaking draw 4 card, excuse me, why? So yeah, that's decent against that. This is a sideboard card against rogues, I'm gonna say, because otherwise, like, okay, 3 mana 2/1 draw a card, lose a life. No. Okay, Cram Session. Look, we have a learn card. I feel like I haven't talked about learn cards in a while. I don't know why. Maybe they just don't exist. Okay, so we have a 2 mana sorcery speed. You gain 4 life and you learn something. I already went over all the lesson cards. They're like almost cards, not quite cards, but let's just take a look at this. So gain 4 life for 2 mana. Not really too exciting there, especially sorcery speed. What are you doing? But what does learn do? Well, let's take a look. You may reveal a lesson card you own from outside the game and put it into your hand, or discard a card to draw a card. Or it's captured in the may, but it's not really immediately obvious. You can choose to do none of the above. You can just keep your hand as it is and not really pull anything, not really go looting or rummaging rather. You can just leave the things alone if everything is good and you are at peace with yourself. Hello! I'm not live right now, so they're just texting me. I'll let you know what that one is later. So something about Dr. Jekyll and I don't know. So let's see. So let's address what the lesson cards are. There's a few colorless ones that don't really have great effects. Usually it's effects they already have, like a little bit of ramp, a little card draw, some removal, but it costs more, like 1 or 2 mana more than it normally would. Just because you can pull them, you can tutor for them. Beyond that, there are a few that are also specific to whatever color that are generally okay, but not great. I think there's a rare one in green you can like grab, and there's something in black, I believe. Oh yeah, there's one for each color too. So those are okay. The fact that this gives you access to that toolbox is pretty nice. I don't know why you're gaining 4 life though. Maybe you want to stabilize to play your lesson, which doesn't do that much anyway. Don't like the card. There we go. I've decided. I don't like it. In limited, don't like the card. Moving on. It's not good. If you have a lesson you really want to play, sure, you can try to throw this in there, but don't play a subpar card to try to get some advantage on playing another subpar card. Sounds like a bad design, right? Like a bad sequence of events. Okay. Culling Ritual. 4 mana sorcery. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. You add black or green mana for each permanent destroyed this way. I don't know if it goes like for each one, like say you destroy three things, do you get to add like black for that one, green for this one? Or is it just like you pick black or green and destroy it? Like, I think the way it's worded is that you get to choose for each permanent what color of mana you choose, which one you get. So that's alright. For 4 mana, it is expensive to not kill all the things. Sure, you can design your deck around, you know, not killing any of your things, but honestly, like, your opponent's probably gonna have something that costs more than 2, which is going to be an issue. You can certainly sideboard this card against like a white weenie kind of deck or a Lurrus deck. Geez, cycling, they have a lot of creatures that are actually really cheap. In particular, just tokens all have 0 mana value or converted mana cost, if you will. So that could be a really good way of almost potentially ramping with this. If you kill 4 things, it's free. If you kill 5 things, you actually gain mana, which is kind of crazy. So 100% like sideboard out of 5 for this thing, and we'll see where that goes. Limited, don't. I mean, unless your opponent is like all in on the tokens, don't. In previous formats, this can destroy your Black Lotus, so consider that. Okay. Dies to removal. Alright, this looks like Demagoth, Woe Eater. Demagoth. The Goth. Okay. So 4 mana for a 7/6. Where have we heard that before? Well, we've heard like 3 mana for a 7/6. There's a 7/6 with the Rotting Regisaur? I forget if it's a 7/6 or a 7/5. Or maybe I'm wrong. I know the 7 though. 7 is in my head. 4 mana 7/7. Who knows where that's from? Alright, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. Have to do it. There's your drawback. When you sacrifice this card, each opponent discards a card, you draw a card, and you gain 2 life. So let's consider this a few different ways. The most apparent, maybe not so good, but I guess the trickiest one is you play this for 4 mana. Maybe you stop your opponent from attacking a turn, or you block favorably. Okay, cool. Your turn comes back around, you sacrifice it immediately. Let's see, you force your opponent to discard a card, you draw and you gain 2 life for 4, and you kind of slow them down a little bit. That's really not bad. I mean, draw a card, gain 2. Yeah, I'm gonna say what the effects are each time. Yeah, that's actually pretty legit. In Standard, I don't really know if it stands up to everything, and you're gonna want to actually hold on to this for a little while and get some swings in before you get rid of it. I do like that it addresses that you're probably gonna end up sacrificing it to its own effect, and it gives you a payoff for that. So it's not like you're gonna get completely hosed if you play this thinking you're gonna sack another creature, your opponent kills that other creature, oh darn, I just spent 4 mana to do nothing. Oh no, actually it turns out you still get some effect off of it. That's kind of nice. In Limited, if you have enough cheap creatures, if you have a decent number of things that cost 3 or less, then you can play it. And you can potentially run away with the game. But if you don't, if your curve kind of starts around like 3 and 4, you don't want to be sacrificing like 3 3s and 4 4s to keep the 7 6 alive for how many turns. It kind of becomes a bad investment very quickly. Okay, but yeah, Standard I could see some play, maybe, in like a very aggressive deck, so the fact that you have to run green, you know, it has that green mana symbol and not just the hybrid thing means, maybe, actually no, green's aggressive, what the hell am I talking? The fact they have to run black is a little bit of a drawback, because green is known for big creatures. Black is known for killing things. Notably big creatures. So yeah, that's okay. I'll go ahead and say, I'll probably see some play in Standard, if maybe there's a sideboard card. I don't know what hell you would sideboard against, but maybe like a one of rather, not a sideboard, but a one of. And in Limited, yeah, play the card if you can afford to have little dudes, and don't worry about sacrificing it. You have to. The key thing with this thing is choosing when to get rid of this versus getting another creature. Okay. Oh my goodness, there's another big boy. Oh my god, look at that. The absolute chungus on this one. Okay. 4 mana, worth noting. I'm going to say it for every school. This is the last, or every house. This is the last one. So here you go. 4 hybrid mana is 4 pips of devotion for both colors. Theros Beyond Death. Gods. Devotion. Things. Done. Okay. 4 mana, 11-10. Why is it not just a 10-10 or an 11-11? I don't know. Is there some weird Quandrix thing? I think there's one card where like, oh, everything that has the same power and toughness gets trample. Sure, because that card that's terrible is going to break this card, which is not terrible. Whenever it attacks or blocks, sacrifice a creature. So I like that it's also when it blocks, it does obviously take away from some of it, but you didn't just play a 4 mana giant wall of death. You played a 4 mana thing that will eventually consume itself, in theory. And also your opponent will most likely try to chump block it until the end of time. But if you can manage to get around that, if you can play some sort of a board wipe or just have enough removal, one solid swing into the face with this, yeah, deal 11, sack a creature, I would do that quite often. I think it's called Fling. If you can fling this guy, oh my god. Obviously you can, because, you know, there's cards that has like Shirtland Flinger. Is there one just called Fling? I think there's one called like Catapult. There's one... There's many names for this effect that I'm describing. Yeah, that's hilarious and wonderful. And you can run that in like Gruul because that's usually a red effect. Then you can just run green, you don't need to run black. Also, I like the artwork for this. I don't know, just the multiple arms, giant thing with moss kind of hanging off of it, and just like the weird like red eye. I think it's pretty cool. Well done, Chris Cold? Well done, Mr. or Mrs. or person Cold. Okay. Now then, Deadly Brew. 2 mana sorcery. Each player sacrifices a creature or planeswalker. If you sacrificed a permanent this way, you may return another permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. This card's bad. This card's bad because do you really want to be sacrificing your own creatures? Probably not. I'm gonna say no. Oh, but I can have a planeswalker that's gonna die anyway, so I'll just sacrifice it to remove the other thing. Yeah, but you can also just have something that saves the planeswalker. You can have some kind of 2 mana, 3 mana removal instead of this thing. This is bad because it makes you sacrifice. It gives your opponent the choice of what to sacrifice between creatures or planeswalkers, so giving them the option is pretty much never a good thing. And, oh, but you get to get a card back from the graveyard. No. 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 Nope out of 5. Across all accounts. Dina. Soulkeeper. Is that? Maybe? I believe I see a resemblance. Anywho, 2 mana, 1/3 legendary. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Oh, well, is that Sanguine Bond? Kinda. It's specific. It's worth noting that it's whenever you gain life, they lose specifically 1 life. So if you play that cram session or whatever it is, where you gain 4 life, your opponent loses 1, they don't lose 4. But if you have a whole bunch of pest die, then they do trigger each time. You know, each one's a separate thing. What else can you do? You can pay 1, sacrifice another creature, Dina Soul Steeper. Did I say keeper? I meant steeper. I don't know. Gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. So, ideally, if you really need to, you swing in with her, and you threaten lethal many times. This reminds me a little bit of Psychotog, I believe it is, where it was like, it's an Atog, which is like a type of thing, whatever. But you would swing in, and you can exile cards from your graveyard, I believe, to give it some sort of stat buff. I don't know if it's +2 or +3 or whatever. But the threat was you attack with a few of those, and whichever one your opponent doesn't block, you buff the hell out of that one with cards from your graveyard. So it's almost like this super easy resource to fill, and you win the game out of nowhere with that. Similar sort of idea here. Of course, you already have to have the really strong creature. I mean, something comes to mind. Maybe not the best option, but something. Also, doesn't care how you sacrifice this. Doesn't say whenever you sacrifice, you know, the Woe Eater to its own effect. Just when it gets sacrificed. So, a little extra upside there, potentially. A little synergy there. Not great, but it's an uncommon card. It's not supposed to be great. In limited, this is actually kind of cool. Just the fact that, like, even though it doesn't trigger itself with the life gain, like there's no life gain associated in the other ability, I like it. I think it's like bear status, 2 out of 5 for limited. Standard, I don't think this is where you want to be, but it's cool. It's cool. But it's not going to see any play. Moving on there. Harness Infinity, yes, from my favorite MTG artist, Seb McKinnon. I have his secret lair right over there. I do. Just trust me on that one, okay? But anywho, he does amazing artwork, and this is no exception. So, for, geez, the big cost of 7 mana, you get an instant, and it is Exchange of Spirit. Okay, moving onwards. I'm kidding, okay, but it kind of is, though. Exchange your hand and graveyard. Exit Harness Infinity. So, if you have, is there any sort of Reliquary Tower effect? I think there is. There's some, oh, Seagate Restoration, I believe. Makes it so you no longer have a maximum hand size for the rest of the game, but that's just in blue, but that could be relevant. People are gonna say, oh, this is like Yawgmoth's Will, or is it Yawgmoth's Bargain? I think it's Yawgmoth's Will, where you get to replay all the things from your graveyard. Kinda, sorta, maybe. I mean, obviously it costs a lot, but you don't really want to play it early and get all everything from your graveyard, unless you're playing Vintage, excuse me. Or Legacy, I guess. But, jeez, it's a expensive card. I could see someone playing this in, like, the Ultimatum deck, because you play your Ultimatum, you get whatever, maybe play another one, you have a few good cards, and all your good cards are going to be in your graveyard, right? And then you just say, okay, Harness Infinity, switch your hand in graveyard, now I have all these cards in my hand. You discard a few at the end of the turn, probably, due to hand size, but your hand is full of gas now. Everything that you played is there. You just keep the big stuff, because Ultimatum does not stay on the board. You play it, it goes to the graveyard, and you play it again. Yeah. But that's kind of like, why don't you just get a 4th Ultimatum at that point? Yeah, you know what? This could be like a one-of little experimental copy of something that could see, like, yeah, like I said, like one spot in a top 16 deck, maybe. But otherwise, in limited, do not, because the only thing that's going to be in your graveyard are going to be the weak creatures that your opponent already dealt with. And I guess removal spells. Maybe. If you have enough removal, then sure. If you don't, then don't. Hunt for specimens. 2 mana sorcery, you make a pest. And then you learn. You learn about the pest. I don't like it. I don't like it. Like, a pest, a 1/1 with that thing is worth about 1 mana. I don't want to pay a whole extra mana just to get a card that's also poorly statted. Or just to be able to discard and draw a card. So, no. No. Infuse with Vitality. 2 mana. Until end of turn, target creature gains Death Touch, and when this creature dies, return it to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control, and you gain 2 life. That's actually not as bad. That's actually a really, really nice combat trick where, you know, obviously you're fighting. Guess what? My thing is Death Touch. Your thing dies. Mine dies, it comes back tapped. Yeah, it's essentially the same as like giving a Death Touch and Indestructible, and you gain 2 life. Can be relevant because your opponent might try to Alpha Strike you and, you know, get you for exact lethal. You trade with their biggest thing. You get their biggest threat off the board. You keep your thing alive. You gain 2 life, which can maybe help you stabilize. Yeah, that's actually pretty legit. In limited, I would easily run 1 of these, maybe 2. In standard, I would run 0 of these, easily 0, because what are you doing? Moldering Karok. 4 mana for a 3/3 trample lifelink. No. I mean, Trample Death Touch would be something, but I don't think they've ever printed a card that has Trample and Death Touch in the same card. I'm pretty sure that's a big no-no for Wizards. They get Death Touch and First Strike. That's on Gliss of the Trader. And there's probably a few other cards that have it too. But yeah, this is just okay. In limited, I would not really jump for joy on getting this one. I could see this wheeling or tabling or circling or whatever you want to call it. I like squares personally. But yeah, I would probably be forced to take this as a last thing. It's like, okay, sure, I got the crocodile. Standard, if it was that bad in limited, what do you think? 0. Okay, Mortality Spear. Yeah, so this just reminds me of the Black Spear from Legend of Runeterra that I played a bit, because you know what? Shurima's out and it's kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie. I know, what am I doing? I'm reviewing Magic cards. I'm talking about other card games. Why? I'm a horrible person. That's why I'm not sponsored. 4 mana instant speed. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you gained life this turn. Destroy target non-land permanent. Lifelink, gain life. Test things, gain life. This thing doesn't gain you life. This thing kind of wants you to gain life. So yeah, there's that. There's a good chance this actually works. Now, worth noting here, I'm going to get a little more serious, a little more proper. Destroy target non-land permanent is the wording here. So if you're familiar with Assassin's Trophy, it's that. I know people go, but no, it costs 4 mana. You can't reliably say you're going to gain life off it. Okay. But at least you know now that even though Assassin's Trophy could target lands, you can kill pretty much whatever you want with this. So even if it costs 4 mana, at least you can kill anything. I did a lot of comparisons to the Murderous Rider for things where, you know, it kills a creature or a planeswalker, and you have like a creature later on you can play. Cool. Well, this can kill a creature or a planeswalker or an artifact or an enchantment or a token. That doesn't really work that way, does it? No, but you can kill multiple things with this. You have more options. So it's a very, very solid card. If you happen to have life gain, if you're working with a lot of pests, or if you have a random thing that for some reason has lifelink, I don't know why, then sure, it's probably not going to be too critical. So for that reason, in standard, I don't think it's going to be a really big deal to build a deck around that. I don't think life gain decks, if there are going to be some out there, like, you know, angels and clerics and whatnot, I don't think they're going to play this card. They're going to just be mono white, maybe black and white, but I don't think they're going to splash green to get this 2 mana removal, even though it's pretty good. In limited though, yeah, I could see you doing this if you get enough Witherbloom things that just make the little pest tokens. Yeah, absolutely. Limited, like, I would say 4 to 5. Even if you have to pay the full 4 mana, it's a kill spell. It's removal for like anything, really. In standard, 2 out of 5, but it might make it. It might just make it there. Oh, the Pestilent Cauldron, of course. How can I forget the Pestilence? So, this is a double-face card. On the front face, we have a 3 mana artifact. Tap and discard to make a pest. Pay 1 and tap. Each opponent mills cards equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. Probably 1. Probably 0, actually, if we're being honest. 4 and tap. Exile 4 target cards from a single graveyard. Draw a card. Is that old? Is it Jadem? Yeah, or whatever. Jade May? I don't know. Tome where it costs 4 to play it, and then you pay 3 and tap it to draw a card. Which people like to use an example of how expensive card draw was back in the early days of Magic. It's like, well, what about Ancestral Recall? What about you shut up? No, but this is a rare? Why are you a rare? How much life are you gonna gain where you're gonna mill your opponent? This isn't like... There is no life gain mill deck. There's no life gain hybrid mill. That's just strange. That last ability is nice, and the fact that the second ability fuels the last one, cool. The fact that the first one fuels the second one, that's also pretty cool. So I like the chain, you know, the ordering there, but I'm not really too keen on any of these going off. Like, you still have to put 4 mana. If it was just tap, exile 4 things, draw a card, that is upside to the moon and back. But the fact that you have to pay 4 mana, you could try to put this as like a sideboard card against rogues and see if it actually resolves. And if it does, then maybe you can draw some more cards. But if they mill you out, that sucks. Alright, the other side of this is Restorative Burst. 5 mana sorcery, return up to 2 target creatures. Up to 2 target creature, land, and/or planeswalker cards. Ah, there you go. From your graveyard to your hand. Each player gains 4 life, and you exile this. So you both gain 4 life. Okay, it's 5 mana. You both gain 4. That's okay. Each tribe shouldn't be too concerned. If you're gonna start swinging with a huge like 10/10, gaining 4 is relevant because now they have 24 life instead of 20, and it takes 3 swings instead of 2. But anywho, worth noting, but not worth like, you know, going into great detail over. Let's see. The big one is you get 2 things back from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, so that reminds me a lot of what was it? Find Finality. It was a pretty good card. It was like basically a board wipe, as well as so it's a sweeper, and you can get something back from the graveyard, like 1 or 2 things. So that's pretty legit. This side is okay. I feel like you're gonna play this a little more often, but this is like early game or later game. Honestly, this is pretty much only late game. For that reason, I don't like it. Ah, damn, I don't like this card. Why don't I like this card? I feel like I should like this card. Oh, I don't like it. No. In limited, this is actually pretty good because life gain is fine, and you just get more threats to your hand, and even the other side is not bad. Oh, you know what I just noticed is that you have to discard a card for the first effect, and you draw a card off the last effect, so it actually is like a cycle. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't like this card too much unless you're unlimited. In standard, I think the card is just not that good. Oh, damn, it costs too much. Costs too much. Professor, hold on. Oh, I saw this as like, I'm in the R's. No, I'm in the P's. Professor of Zoomancy? I don't know. Professor of Zoo. 4 mana, 4/3. It's a bear. Literally bear. Whenever Professor of Zoomancy attacks, or whenever enters the battlefield, not attacks, you make a pest. 4 mana, 4/3. You get a 1/1. When it dies, you gain a life. Okay, limited. It's fine. Better than your average bear. It's like 2.5 out of 5. Nothing wrong with that at all. If you have any life gain synergies, even better. Standard, no. Useless. Garbage. Get out of here. Rushed Rebirth. I am in the R's. Woo! Okay. 2 mana instant speed. Choose target creature. I choose you. Oh, jeez, I'm gonna knock things over. Here you go. Oh god. Oh, the green screen's not doing any favor, Squirtle. I'm sorry. You gotta go back. You gotta go back up there. I guess. Well, now you know. And if you don't know, now you know. Alright, choose target creature. When that creature dies this turn, no! Search your library for a creature card with lesser mana value. Put it into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. A little reversing pot effect. It's kind of cool, I guess. It's not wonderful. I don't really know what you're searching for. If you have a really cheap creature that needs to come down, that's super critical for your thing to work, then sure. I guess I could see this in like a Rakdos Sacrifice decks. What, but this is black and green. I know, just deal with me. Mardu Sacrifice. There, I said it. Where you can, if your Mayhem Devil was gonna die, you can target it with that and then get Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Okay, sure. Granted, you know, of course, Priest is not in standard anymore, and Mayhem Devil's out as well because they were both from Africa. But like, that's a thing where they both function pretty well, but like, what are you doing with this thing? You got your big thing and you're gonna get a smaller thing? Unless it's a very specific combo piece, or like, you know, piece of the puzzle where you get this, and this, and just like either a combo piece or like a sequence where you can go down and get more value out of it. I don't like it. It's okay. They made the Pyre of Heroes or whatever. Like, they make a birthing pot effect every set, and it's like rare or uncommon, and it's not really all that good. Okay. Sedgemoor Witch. 3 mana, 3/2 menace. Ward, you pay 3 life. I think I went over one of these in the Silver Quill. Well, now we have one in Witherbloom. Ward is just an effect where whenever the creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls. It gets countered unless your opponent pays whatever comes after a little ward there. In this case, it's 3 life. For other cards in the past, it had been a certain amount of mana. Nice. The fact that it's life is a resource, right? So it's not a big deal. In my mind, it basically reads as your opponent tries to remove it, and you get one more punch in before they get it out off the board. All right. It also has Magecraft, 2 keywords that are specific to Strixhaven, so very flavorful. Let's see what that does. Whenever an opponent, is this really Witherbloom? Like, I'm looking at this like it should be something else. Oh no, it makes pests. Okay. There's a whole lot of black and then like pale skin, so like black and white. That seems more like a Silver Quill card, but it's not. Okay, I gotcha. There is some green in the background. I see it now. Moving on. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, create a pest. You know what? That last part isn't too bad. And your opponent has to pay life to deal with it, which means that you're gonna, get some life advantage over them anyway. That's kind of cool. I don't see why it's rare. I think uncommon would have been fine. This is not really the rare you want to open. This is not always going to be your first pick. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. Limited, like a 2.5. No, a 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5. 2.5 is just strictly average. No, a 3 out of 5 there. In standard, I don't think this sees any play, but it's kind of cool. If it does see any play, it's the Magecraft ability that's going to get it there. Just the fact that, okay, I played this, and spell. Instant or sorcery over and over and over again. And here's my army of pests, and swing. Tend the pests. Ah, yes, we must tend to them. 2-man instant speed adds an additional cost to cast the spell. Sacrifice a creature. That's not really a very good tending. I think you might want to rethink your plan here. Create X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens with when it dies you gain 1 life, where X is the sacrifice creature's power. Oh, okay then. So yes, you can sacrifice a pest to make a pest, in which case you just spent 2 mana to effectively gain 1 life and maybe have an enter the battlefield thing go off if you have any of those triggers. Good for you. But ideal scenario is your opponent plays a kill spell on your big guy. It's going to die anyway. So you use this, you sacrifice it, and you make like 6 pest tokens. Okay. Cool, I guess. I would rather not do that. I don't think that's the best use of your abilities. But it's alright. I mean, usually if something dies, you just kind of want to let it die. Is that really worth a card? Not so much. Well, would I pay 2 to summon 6 pest tokens? Probably. Actually, that's pretty good. Is it always going to be 6/6 though? Oh, there we are. When I pay 2 when I have to play it on like at least turn 7 or something. Ugh. God, no. Okay, there's your answer. The answer is no. The answer is no. Oh, I think there's a few of these. There's like a V, and then there's that, and then there's Witherbloom. Oh, they start with W. It's at the end of the alphabet. There's so many cards left to go. All right. Valentin, Dean of the Vein. 1 mana, 1/1 menace lifelink. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. It just gets exiled. That's it. It goes. When you do, you can pay 2. If you do, you make a pest. That effect is nice. It's like that doesn't have to die to this card, because that would be very difficult and very surprising. But the fact that it just gets exiled is awesome. And then you can make pests. Okay, I'm not really sure how you're going to kill your opponent's creatures, but it's worth something, you know? That on a 1 mana 1/1 is definitely fine. Very, very acceptable. The other card, however, is Lizette Dean of the Root. A 4 mana 4/4. Whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. Only 1. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain trample until end of turn. Interesting. Not really sure how likely you are to gain life. I mean, the fact that the game trample until end of turn means you're not really gonna be able to just take all your pests and swing in, because that's all calculated afterwards, unless you give them first strike, or you attack into a first striker, or you block a, you know what I mean there? So that combat damage is assigned first and resolved first, and then this ability will trigger, and then, you know, you can buff everything, and then the rest of the combat goes, which is a very, very strange and very specific niche kind of application, which I don't like. So not a huge fan of this one. If you're playing it, maybe do like a green-white sort of thing and be like, yeah, I'm just going to put counters on things. which is great because the counters obviously stay there, they don't go away. The champ will go away, but the counters will remain, so some potential, but I think mono white does it better already. Even black and white, even Orzhov. But Valentin's okay. Really not my first pick for like anything, but I wouldn't be too upset if I opened this. I would actually just put it like maybe a 2.75 out of 5, just above average, just a little bit above, even with the other one, just slightly above average. In standard, no. I mean, sure, you can try to be aggressive, and maybe that'll get you somewhere. I don't really know how much mono red cares about the graveyard, or mono white cares about the graveyard. If they care about it more than I thought, then it's actually worth something. But if not, then no. Alright, Witherbloom Apprentice, we're getting there. We're getting there. I tell you we're getting there because I'm getting tired. 2 mana, 2/2. Magecraft. When you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. Finally, we have the draining. Wait, did I already find some draining and just kind of glossed over it? Very, very possible. I don't know. I'm a tired person. But that's okay. If you just add that little drain 1 life to every single sorcery spell you play, any instant or sorcery, that's not bad. Otherwise, 2 mana, 2/2, that's pretty good. 3 out of 5 in limited, and like a 2.5 out of 5 in standard, you might be onto something there. Imagine every single thing, every single instant or sorcery you played just had that ability tagged onto it. That's nice. I like that. The Witherbloom command, how many? Okay, only 2 more. Command, and then Pledge Mage. Just bear with me a little bit more. We're gonna get there. 2 mana sorcery. Target player mills 3 cards, then you return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. Destroy a non-creature, non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less. Target creature gets -3/-1 till end of turn, or target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So that bottom ability is always going to be fine to choose. Unless you're playing against Death Shadow, God help you. But yeah, that's pretty much your fallback mode. Along with that, if you have the ability to kill one of your opponent's creatures, sure, that third ability is great. Obviously, it is not an instant, so don't really count on being too much of a trick in combat. I like that it costs 2, and it can kill things that cost 2 or less. That's also really nice timing on there. I'd hate if this costs like 4. It's like, what are you doing? They're already playing 3 and 4 drops potentially. You're way behind, dude. But the fact that this can just like be played early, kill your creature, drain 2 life, okay. Mill 3 cards, return a land card. Unlikely to really work. You can also, of course, you can target yourself. If you really want to try to get that land drop and just can't seem to get there, it's only costs 2 mana. If you don't keep a hand with at least 2 lands in it, then are you even doing Magic the right way? So, as far as this goes, let's see here. In limited, I will give it the whopping 3 out of 5. It's not great. Like, draining 2, okay. Maybe killing a creature, it only deals 1 damage, isn't great there at all. Maybe killing something, yeah, 3 out of 5 because when it works pretty damn well. In standard, sideboard for sure, like 3 out of 5 there as well. Very, very similar thing there. You're really only going to want to do it, and let's see, I mean, if your opponent is playing cheap creatures. Against mono red, this isn't bad. There's going to be plenty of X1s you can kill, and plenty of things that cost 2 or less. Witherbloom Pledge Mage, the final one! Hello! 5 mana, 5/5 with Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you gain 1 life. This card is expensive and it's bad, and you should feel bad. In limited, you can try to get away with it. If you have any of that life gain synergy, sure, because it's like a 5 mana, 5/5 with some upside, cool. But in standard, it's out of there. Get out of here. I'm getting out of here. That's all the cards. Thank you so much. I need to upload these videos and then make 6 more videos. Oh my goodness. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. Or I will once again probably be wearing orange. We'll see. I don't know. That's your little way to tell. See, it's one of those clock reactions where it goes back and forth between is this gray and this is black? Okay, it's actually a really dark gray. Okay, between black and orange, and just cycles back and forth for like half an hour. Anywho, thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to check out the other reviews if you found this one interesting, or if not, that's okay. If you like this, I got a Twitch. You can follow me down below in the description. There's a link to the channel, and there's also a link to the Discord. Without further ado, good night or good morning, depending on where you are in the world, but as always, good luck.